Hello, everyone. This is Amy Hoffman, the cider mill stamper from the little state of Connecticut in the United States. This is my first time doing a YouTube video, and I'm so excited to be trying something new. I normally reach out to my friends on Facebook, but I decided it's a new year and it's time to try something new. And my busy schedule sometimes isn't accommodating being live, so this gives me a great opportunity to record in advance and put it out there for my usual Watch Me Wednesdays on my Cider Mill Stamper page on Facebook. So I hope that you'll join me in the future. If there are new people on today, thanks for joining me, and if you are a returning fan, I'm so happy you could be back with me. So today what we're going to be doing is we are going to be working with some things from the annual catalog. Starting this week, we are starting our new mini catalog as well as our celebration time period. So with celebration, if you've never experienced that before, with every $50 order you place, you can get a free celebration item. So I thought I'd show you something using some stuff in the annual catalog. Some stuff you may have already, some stuff maybe on your wish list. This is a great 2 months to get things on your wish list because you can also get free product with it. So we are going to be using the Peaceful Moments stamp set. The purpose of my card tonight is I had a coworker lose a family member, and all my coworkers like to give a card and write a little sentiment in it to the person who loses someone. So I thought this time I'd offer to make a card. And the thing I like about making the card is I can leave a lot of open space to write in on the inside. When you go buy a card, often you can't do that. We're all squishing in. So this gives me a great opportunity to help people be able to fill in with their own words. So we will be using With Deepest Sympathy from the Peaceful Moments stamp set. Also, we're going to be using some dies tonight. I've taken a couple of the dies out that we're going to be using. I have taken these cutouts from the Dandelion Wishes stamp set. I mean, not stamp set, die kit. We are also going to be using additional layers, but let me show you the dies. There's lots of different things. They coordinate with some stamp sets as well. So we're going to be using all these little kind of sunshiny looking things to fit into this flower and give some dimension to our flower. We're using this one, kind of a blooming flower, and we're going to also be using the pieces of grass for our card tonight from this die set. Then we are also using the Stitch So Sweetly dies, which is one of my favorite label dies or layering dies. For this, we're using it for our label. We're using this particular one right here. They're nice and little stitched elements for adding a sentiment or adding other larger elements to your card. But we'll be using that one. This is a great set to have. It's just versatile. It works across all different cards and with different stamp sets, so that's nice. And then last but not least, you can see over here, I have a little butterfly. So we're going to be using some dies from the Brilliant Wings die set. Now this die set is these 6 butterflies. Then you've got some other elements. This is one big thing. It coordinates with the butterfly stamp set. And then you've got other little elements there that you can use. But we're just going to be using these 2 smaller butterflies today. Okay, so that is it for our dies, which I pre-cut because this card, it's a little, what's the word I want to use? Not intense. I don't know. involved. That's the word I wanted to use. So we're just going to be doing one card tonight. A lot of times I'll do 2 cards, but because it's more involved, we're just going to be doing one for this one. Another thing we're going to be using tonight is we are going to be using our blending brushes. So I'm going to actually grab a grubby piece of paper because I love my nice little graph paper in the background, but I don't want it covered in goo. So I'm just going to take a piece that I've been using to get dirty. And I have, probably put it over there so you can see it a little better. I have some blades of grass that I die cut with the Dandelion Wishes dies, and I'm going to take my blending brush. Now my blending brushes are always dirty, but you can just rinse them out. They do, if you do rinse them out, they take about 24 hours to dry. So you want to, unless you have a really dry, you live in a really dry area, you might have it dry a little quicker. But just make sure you give it the right time to dry before you go into your next color. Otherwise, you can just kind of rub off any excess and go into your next color. You're not going to carry it over. So that's what I will often do. And then when I remember, I clean them off. But mine have gotten stained because I've left them a little too long. If you leave them a long time, they will stay stained. So I'm just going to use some Pear Pizzazz. And when you're using the blending brushes, you can pick it up and you might want to start rubbing it off first on to some scrap because you might get a little, like a slightly intense area. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but it's just to get a more uniform spread when you're coloring your pieces there. With the blades of grass, it doesn't quite matter so much because you're going to find you're getting varying intensities with that. And just flip over, make sure you get that spot. If you're holding with your finger like me, I have a little finger spot there at the bottom, so I just want to get that out. Okay, so now I've fully covered that. You can kind of go a little more intense in some areas. I do want to get that top part of the blade a little more. Okay, then I'm going to take my other piece and gotta be careful. You might bend your blades of grass, but they bend right back. And the varying intensities kind of are how we have grass anyhow. So I didn't want to bore you with blending up a storm. So I blended some other blades ahead of time. So we're going to use this for our grass for our card. So I'm going to move those aside for now. And then I want to add some color to my flowers that I cut. But I want to do the stems first. So I'm going to use the same color and just kind of drag down. Not getting too close to the top there. Just to get my stem having some green as well. And it's nice because this goes on light. So if you do accidentally hit the top part, it's going to be probably a lighter intensity. So if I got into my flower with my green, that would be okay. So I love these blending brushes. They are so much fun to just add color to stuff. Next, I'm going to take, let's see, my Fresh Freesia stamp pad. I think I'm done with my green. And I'm going to add color just kind of to the bottom of this one. So pick up with, now the blending brushes come in packs of 3. You don't, like I said, you don't need to like get ones for everyone. You can clean them off. And I'm just kind of moving from the base of my flower because I kind of want to keep parts white. And I want it more intense at the bottom. I'm just kind of moving upward a little bit. getting it to just what I like there. I'm going to hold it to my white so I can kind of see if I have enough. I think I want a little bit more of my freesia. And these are slightly delicate, so you want to be kind of careful when you're, these particular die cuts, when you're respreading your color. Now that I've got to the intensity I want, I'm going to go a little bit lighter, but I'm going to move up. So I've kind of taken off the color down here so I can get a lighter color on the tips. Okay, so that's that one. Then I cut different layers for this flower here. And I thought I had one more layer. I might have lost that piece here, but that's okay. We'll just do 3 layers. For that one, I'm gonna take out my petal pink because I want to go a little more subtle on this one. And blending brush here. Just rub off over here, see what kind of intensity I have first. Now these are going to just layer on top of each other like this. So that middle piece is going to be the one that you can really see. So I'm probably going to go a little heavier on that one. Just kind of. Okay. That one's nice, like, and heavy. But my back ones, I'm going to just go a little less intensity there. So as I layer, I've got varying degrees of intensity. Now, I think I've lost most of my color by now, so I'm going to go back, pull off some of that color. Once again, being very careful because that stem is very delicate. And also, too, you can, just like your pressure, can vary your intensity of your color as well. So I'm just not pressing down quite as hard for that one. So now I can layer these to make kind of a varying intensity flower there. I'm going to take my Tombow glue. Hopefully, I have my Tombows upside down, so hopefully the glue comes out of this guy. Nope, this one's a full one, so I guess I'm good. And I'm just going to layer them, kind of center them on top of each other. Oops, it's a little easier if you do one at a time. And they don't have to be 100% perfect, because what flower is 100% perfect, right? Okay, there we go. So we've got our 2 flowers. We've got our grass. And next, we're going to work on our sentiment. Try to get all our inks done at once. Move this out now. I don't think I'm going to be dirtying anything else. Okay, so I'm going to take my my Stitch So Sweetly tag that I cut out. I made sure, I usually kind of try to, I'll actually take the stamp set. I'll show you what I do. And I'll take the die that I want to use just to make sure it works beforehand. And most of our stamps are to scale here. So I'll just take this and kind of layer it over, and one that can tell you kind of where you want to stamp when you go to stamp. And also it helps you figure out if it's going to, your words will fit inside your label. Okay. that aside. And I'm going to take my fresh freesia for this. This is probably one of my favorite colors from our In Colors. Probably one of my favorite colors from the whole catalog. If you know me, I kind of like the purples and blues. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Then, so I am going with a bigger card for this. Because like I said, this is a sympathy card for a coworker. I want to have a lot of room inside for people to write. I may actually even add an additional page in here, just to give people enough room. Because sometimes I have to tell you, often because I have a weird schedule, I am also often the last person to be signing a card, and I'm trying to squish in between a couple of people. I don't want people to have to squish. I want them to be able to write what they want, not feel limited. So I'll probably just add an insert page as well. So what I did was I basically took my thick white cardstock, basic white cardstock, and I just scored. I took just a standard size piece, scored it at 5.5, and so now I have like kind of a double card size versus my standard card that I normally make. Then I took a piece of fresh freesia to layer for a mat, and this I cut. I'm not going to remember how I cut it. This is 4 3/4 by 7 3/4. So that I'm going to layer in the middle, and I'm going to hook this down right now with my Stampin' Seal. I'm just going to center that. Now, when I'm making cards, if I make different size cards, like you might know your dimensions for your smaller cards, just kind of a standard matting. All I do is go with the size of my card and move down by the same amount on each side. So for this, I went down by 3/4 of an inch this way and 3/4 of an inch this way. And that way, so you know your starting size, which is 5.5 by 8.5. And then you just subtract the same amount on each side. Then you will have a perfect mat. So I went down 1/4 of an inch more for this piece. And this is just basic white, the standard basic white cardstock. I'm not going to attach this yet because I'm going to actually do a little more blending. Almost forgot to do that. I'm going to go back to my Pear Pizzazz. And we're kind of going to just make a scene with this, with the flowers and the butterflies and the grass. So my grass is going to be at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just add some green at the bottom. So let me grab that piece of scrap back here. And I'm just going to create a bit of a green haze at the bottom just to create that effect of the grass. Just remember, rub off on the side to get it uniform, and then just start going up from the base to add my green. And you don't have to go too far up. Okay. Now I have to tell you, this card was inspired by one of my favorite stampers, Gail Ellis. She creates some beautiful stuff. She did a very similar layout with a sampler. So I kind of just took a little bit of her elements and kind of made it my own, or am making it my own here. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to add my flowers. And I'm going to have my main flower coming up from the side. And I'm going to have this one, get a little piece of paper hair there I want to get rid of first. Okay. So I'm going to bring in my flowers like this. I'm ultimately going to be putting my my sentiment up here, so I just want to leave that space a little empty. I'm going to go back to my Tombow. And you could use your fine tip glue as well. I just really like the Tombow. That's my favorite. Less is more, so don't like super squeeze it. I just very lightly squeeze it, so long as it's coming out. Now, if it's not coming out of the container, you might want to get it started first and then be attaching it to your page. Now I'm going to have this stem hang off a little bit, but I'm just going to trim it off after I attach it. Now this one I'm also going to add some adhesive to the stem. I'm not going to go all the way down because I'm going to be cutting that part off. I'm going to kind of add little dots of glue to the tips of these so the whole flower adheres down, so I don't have it popping off the page for me. Okay, so we're going to have that guy come up over here. There we go. And then I'm going to take my paper snips and snip off the edge. Okay, get rid of that piece there. Now I can go in and bring in my grass pieces. And these I can just kind of place randomly around. I may not attach these quite as much. I like how the grass kind of pops out. I'm going to attach a little bit of the blades, but not the whole thing. And that gives you kind of that effect of grass, like that dimensional. This card is going to have a little dimension to it. So I'm probably going to have to make some adjustments to it before we package it. And I'll probably keep it kind of flat as we pass it around for everyone to sign. But I definitely want to make sure everything is nice and securely on there because we are passing this card around to sign. Now I'm not making this touch the next piece. That's okay. So kind of just want to space things variably apart. And I'm just going randomly. You can even overlap if you want with the grass. We could do that. I think I'm going to keep not too much overlap. I'm just going to try to get it across the bottom here. Might be a little short, but that's okay. Can always go back and add an extra piece later if I feel I don't quite have enough. I don't know if I want this here or here. I'll put it here. But I had one more to fit in here, but I'm not seeing it, so I might just, after I'm done, add another one in there. Okay. So you got the idea with that. Now I'm going to take my butterflies, which I must be losing stuff because I have 2 of these too, and I'm not seeing them here. Oh, here it is. Okay. So first I'm going to start out with my sentiment. I'm going to use some dimensionals to pop that up. Put one in each corner because I want it to nicely, stably hold. I'm imagining we're giving this to her, but if it needs to be mailed, I want it to be structurally sound. I think I'm listening a little too much to my son's engineering classes. Structurally sound. Talk like I'm building a building. Not quite a building, just a card. A lot easier, I'd say. Okay. I'm gonna pop this right here. Okay. And actually, I probably should, at this point, be attaching this to my main part. The more I pop up, the less space I have to work with here. Okay, so with these, I'm going to take a glue dot. Now this is our In Color Shimmer Vellum, something you might easily miss in the catalog. I love it. It is, especially if you have these butterfly dies, these are so elegant. It just adds a little shimmer, a little extra pizzazz. And I like this color for like a sympathy card. You know, it's a nice kind of subtle color, just like adding a little glitz and, you know, just love. And, you know, with the loss of someone, I think butterflies are just a nice kind of sentiment of, you know, going off into the wind and just, I don't know, getting all sentimental here. So I just put a glue dot right in the center of the body of the butterfly so I can pick up my my wings and pop them out. So after I hook it down, I kind of bring those wings out. Now my other one, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take a glue dot. And the glue dots are a little wide, so you can just kind of, oh, I don't think I got it. I think it stayed on there. Yep. You can kind of just manipulate it with your, oops, move it up, with your fingers, kind of push it in to shape it how you want to fit under your body. And because it's vellum, it's a little see-through, but I like the glue dots, and because it's colored vellum, it kind of seems to work a little better. Now this guy, I think I'm going to have him coming off the flower. Okay. Perfect. Now it just needs a little bit more element of bling. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pastel pearls, and you'll notice the lighter purple kind of has the right color to match with this. And my take your pick tool is buried, so I'm just going to use my fingernails tonight. I'm just going to add one here. It just kind of adds that element of 3 to kind of draw your eye across the card. So there we go. So we've got our nice little sympathy card, a nice nice thing for someone who's lost someone. I'd like to thank you all for joining me tonight. And I hope you'll come back. We'll see if I'm going to continue with the YouTube route. Otherwise, you can always find my listing on my Facebook page at Cider Mill Stamper on Facebook. Thanks for joining me, and have a wonderful night.